Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. A former WWE star and wrestling veteran has said that Jacob Fatu doesn't fit in with the bloodline. Matt Morgan is not a fan of the Solo Sikoa-led group and isn't fond of what happened at Crown Jewel involving Roman Reigns. The original tribal chief reunited with the Usos in a six-man tag team match in Saudi Arabia. They took on the bloodline Sikoa, Fatu, and Tama Tonga, with Tongaloa at ringside. After a back-and-forth match, Sikoa was able to get the upper hand, and the street champ shocked the world when he pinned Reigns. Morgan expressed his frustration with the result in a recent episode of his Gigantic Pop podcast with Raj Giri. He even took a shot at the bloodline but lavished praise on the Samoan werewolf. "This looked so quick. I feel all of it so fast. After we waited forever for Roman to come back. This is Roman's second ever match since returning at SummerSlam. He took a pinfall from Solo. It's annoying because they're the Temu bloodline, everybody knows it. Except for Jacob Fatu, of course. He's a headliner waiting to happen," Morgan said. 9:33 to 9:50, Jacob Fatu has stolen the show ever since he made his WWE debut this past June. The Samoan Destroyer has been a standout in the bloodline and is well protected since he has not been pinned or submitted. Jacob Fatu's interaction with Braun Breaker was praised backstage on the October 21st edition of Raw. Jacob Fatu helped Braun Breaker win the Intercontinental Championship from Jey Uso. But before that happened, Solo Sikoa's enforcer and Breaker had an intense stare-down outside the ring that got a lot of people talking. Speaking on WrestleVotes Radio via Sportskeeda Wrestling's Backstage Pass, Joey Votes and TC revealed the backstage reaction to the Fatu-Breaker confrontation. "We're told there was heavy internal praise on how well this came off, especially reaction from the live crowd in Philadelphia. We were told that numerous people backstage enjoyed it and were almost stunned by how big of a reaction these two men got." WrestleVotes added that there are no current plans for the two behemoths to clash inside the ring. However, the creative team is reportedly happy to stumble onto something big. The air was electric as the WWE universe buzzed with speculation about the future of the bloodline, particularly with the recent addition of Solo Sikoa and the polarizing presence of Jacob Fatu. As fans settled in for another episode of SmackDown, the landscape of the faction began to shift, leading to predictions from veterans and pundits alike. Sikoa had quickly risen through the ranks, embracing his heritage and embodying the fierce spirit of the bloodline. His ruthless style and undeniable talent had captured the attention of the fans, yet his ascent was met with mixed reactions. Among those scrutinizing the dynamic was veteran wrestling commentator and former champion, Taz, who made waves with his bold prediction: Jacob Fatu, currently positioned as the odd man out, wouldn't mesh with this new era of the bloodline. As the show opened, Taz shared his thoughts during a pre-match segment. "Solo Sikoa has been impressive, no doubt about it. He's got the look, the skill, and that undeniable connection to the Samoan legacy. But let's be honest, Jacob Fatu is more than just an extension of that legacy. He's his own man, and I don't think he fits into what they're trying to do with the new bloodline. The chemistry just isn't there." His comments sparked a heated discussion on social media, with fans weighing in on the potential future of both Sikoa and Fatu. Many echoed Taz's sentiments, highlighting how Sikoa had seamlessly integrated into the faction while Fatu, a charismatic powerhouse in his own right, seemed lost in the shuffle. The contrast between the two was palpable, creating a narrative ripe for conflict. As the night unfolded, the arena filled with excitement for the main event, Roman Reigns vs. Solo Sikoa. The atmosphere was charged, fans anticipated a display of power and drama as the two family members squared off. Yet, the match came with its own set of expectations. The question lingered: could Sikoa truly defeat the tribal chief? The match began with intense exchanges, showcasing the brute strength and agility of both competitors. Reigns, as always, carried himself with the confidence of a champion. However, as the contest progressed, the tide began to turn. Sikoa, fueled by the fiery determination to prove himself, matched Reigns move for move. The tension in the arena escalated, and the anticipation for a potential upset reached its peak. In the closing moments, Sikoa executed a stunning Samoan drop, sending shockwaves through the crowd. The referee counted 1, 2, and then 3. The arena erupted as Solo Sikoa pinned Roman Reigns, marking a significant moment in WWE history. The shockwave of the victory rippled through the fandom, yet not all reactions were positive. Some fans labeled Sikoa's victory as annoying, feeling it undercut the established hierarchy of the bloodline. As social media exploded with reactions, Taz took to the mic again, expressing his thoughts on the outcome. "I get it, Solo's victory is a huge moment, but let's not pretend it doesn't shake the foundation of what the bloodline has built. Roman is the top dog for a reason, and this kind of loss, especially to a family member, could lead to serious friction." Backstage, the aftermath of Sikoa's victory was palpable. The mood shifted as Fatu watched the match unfold on a monitor, arms crossed and brow furrowed. He had always held a significant role in his own right, but now he felt like an outsider looking in. The implications of Sikoa's win gnawed at him. Was he next to face the tribal chief's wrath for not stepping up? Fatu confronted Sikoa later that night, the tension evident as they exchanged heated words. "You think you've proven something?" Fatu challenged, his voice low but fierce. "You're stepping into a world you don't understand. I'm not here to watch you take what's mine. You may have pinned Roman, but you've just made a powerful enemy." Sikoa, unfazed, met Fatu's gaze with steely resolve. "This isn't about you or your past, Jacob. It's about evolution. If you want to be part of the bloodline, you need to adapt. Maybe you're the one who doesn't fit in anymore." The confrontation hung heavy in the air, foreshadowing a potential clash that could redefine the faction's hierarchy. As the weeks rolled on, tension brewed between the two Samoan warriors, with their differences highlighting the shifting dynamics within the bloodline. Meanwhile, fans continued to debate Fatu's role. Many were frustrated with how he was being sidelined, feeling that his talents were wasted in a storyline that seemed to favor Sikoa. "Fatu deserves better," one fan tweeted. "He's a powerhouse and a phenomenal talent. Why waste him when there's a story to tell?" Others agreed with Taz, pointing out that Fatu's distinct style and personality might clash with the new direction of the bloodline. "He's got the skills, but I think they're trying to create something fresh with Solo. Jacob feels like a leftover from the past," another commentator chimed in. As tensions escalated, Fatu found himself at a crossroads. Should he embrace this new direction or carve out his own path? The next week, during a promo segment on SmackDown, Fatu addressed the crowd directly. "I've been watching, and I've been silent. But that ends now. I'm not going to sit back while Solo and Roman rewrite our family's legacy. I'll make my mark, even if it means going through my own blood." His declaration sent shockwaves throughout the WWE universe. Fans erupted with excitement, rallying behind Fatu as they recognized the potential for an electrifying storyline. The idea of Fatu breaking free from the shadows of his cousin's legacies ignited a fervor among the audience. The following weeks saw Fatu target Solo Sikoa, leading to an inevitable showdown at the next pay-per-view event. As the two clashed, the tension reached a boiling point. Fatu's powerful moveset showcased his strength, while Sikoa's speed and agility kept the crowd on the edge of their seats. Ultimately, Fatu secured a hard-fought victory, signaling his determination to reclaim his spot within the bloodline. In the aftermath, as Fatu stood tall in the ring, the tide shifted once again. Solo Sikoa, visibly frustrated, watched from the ramp, his expression a mix of anger and respect. The fans were ecstatic, as Fatu's triumph paved the way for new stories to unfold within the bloodline. The narrative became a testament to the evolving nature of family dynamics within the WWE, showing that even blood ties can be challenged and redefined. Taz, reflecting on the tumultuous journey, commented, "Sometimes, to truly belong, you have to fight for your place." Fatu's victory tonight was more than just a win, it was a declaration that he refuses to be left behind. As the bloodline navigated its shifting identity, the future remained uncertain. Would Jacob Fatu carve out his own legacy, or would he find a way to harmonize with Sikoa and Reigns? The answer lay ahead, shrouded in the excitement and unpredictability that only WWE could deliver. Roman Reigns' subtle move after Crown Jewel has confirmed his feelings towards Jey Uso. WWE Crown Jewel 2024 kicked off with the Battle of Tribal Chiefs as Roman Reigns' OG bloodline locked horns with Solo Sikoa's version of the faction. However, the match did not end in favor of the original tribal chief, as the OG bloodline lost their chance to secure victory. The ending of the match saw the new bloodline overpower the Usos and Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn rushed out to save Jey, but things soon got out of hand. Everything seemed to be going perfectly before the former honorary Uso mistakenly took Reigns out with a hell of a kick after Solo Sikoa ducked out of the way. The tension escalated between Jimmy and Sami, and Jey tried to mediate the heat. Despite losing a high-stake match at 2024 Crown Jewel and Sami Zayn's blunder, Roman Reigns seemed cool with Jey Uso. One fan shared a screenshot on Twitter/X which shows the original tribal chief only following one person on his official TikTok account, and that is Jey Uso. It seems like the head of the table is still trying to put all bad blood aside with his cousin. Reigns even allowed Jey Uso to start the match, and the latter even entered the match last, showcasing his popularity and how he is now a star in his own right. The major issue with Roman Reigns' bloodline at Crown Jewel 2024, despite the big win, Solo Sikoa and his bloodline attacked Roman and the Usos. After taking out the original tribal chief, the street champion targeted Jey Uso and wrapped a chair around the neck of the former Intercontinental Champion to take him out. Sami Zayn ran out to save Jey Uso from bloodline. Initially, it looked like the Reigns' original faction had finally reunited. However, things took a different turn after Sami connected a hell of a kick to Reigns' face after Solo managed to escape. It seems that animosities are far from over within the bloodline, and Sami Zayn has now inserted himself into the mix. Inadvertently kicking Roman Reigns may have ramifications later, but for now, it remains to be seen whether the former honorary Uso can set aside his differences to take on Solo Sikoa and the bloodline. #title, The Unbreakable Bond. Roman Reigns' subtle move after Crown Jewel had come and gone, leaving the WWE Universe buzzing with excitement and speculation. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief and reigning Universal Champion, had just emerged from a hard-fought match against his old rival. The lights had dimmed, the cheers still echoed in the arena, and the dust was beginning to settle. But for Roman, the battle was not just about the title, it was about family. As he stood in the center of the ring, draped in the championship belt, Roman's gaze shifted to the entrance ramp. It was a subtle shift, almost imperceptible, but it spoke volumes. Jey Uso had been conspicuously absent during the match, a fact that weighed heavily on Roman's mind. The fracture within the bloodline was palpable, but Roman had a plan, one that would demonstrate his true feelings towards his cousin. In the locker room backstage, the atmosphere was tense. Jey was seated on a bench, staring at the floor, his emotions a swirling storm of frustration and betrayal. He had fought hard to stand by Roman's side, yet time and again, he felt the distance grow between them. The ghost of their past conflicts haunted him, and now, after another monumental event, Jey questioned his place in the bloodline. Roman walked into the room, and a hush fell over the space. He could sense Jey's turmoil, the turmoil that had lingered since their last encounter. Instead of confronting Jey directly, Roman opted for a different approach. He dropped the championship belt onto the bench next to Jey and took a seat across from him. The silence was deafening, yet Roman's presence spoke louder than words. "Jey," Roman began, his tone softer than usual. "I know you're upset." Jey glanced up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Upset? You could say that. I thought we were in this together." "We are," Roman affirmed, leaning forward slightly. "But you have to understand, this is bigger than just us." Jey felt a rush of emotions. Roman's words felt familiar yet distant. The tribal chief was always trying to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. It doesn't feel that way, Roman. It feels like you're pushing me away. The truth of Jey's statement hung in the air, and Roman felt a pang of guilt. He had been so focused on maintaining his dominance as the head of the table that he often forgot the essence of family. I get it. I really do, Roman said, choosing his words carefully. But after Crown Jewel, I realized something important. Jey remained skeptical, crossing his arms as he leaned back against the wall. What's that? I realized that I can't do this alone. I need you, Roman confessed, his voice firm yet vulnerable. We need to fix this. Jey's defenses began to crumble. The sincerity in Roman's eyes was undeniable, and for the first time in a while, Jey felt a flicker of hope. So what do we do now? He asked, his tone softening. Roman reached for the championship belt and held it up, the gold glinting under the fluorescent lights. This is just a piece of metal. It doesn't mean anything without you by my side. Together, we are stronger. Together, we are the bloodline. The emotional weight of Roman's words settled over Jey like a warm blanket. He could feel the sincerity radiating from his cousin. I just want to know where I stand, man, Jey replied, his voice cracking slightly. I don't want to be in your shadow. Roman shook his head. You're not in my shadow, Jey. You're my brother. You always have been. We fight together, we win together, and we take care of each other. That's what family is. The bond they shared felt like a delicate thread, frayed but not broken. Roman's subtle move to lay down the championship belt next to Jey was a gesture of solidarity. It symbolized that the title was not merely his alone, it was theirs, part of their legacy as brothers in the bloodline. In that moment, the tension that had filled the room began to dissipate. Jey looked at Roman, and for the first time, he saw not just the tribal chief, but his cousin, his brother. All right, Jey finally said, a small smile creeping onto his face. Let's make it work. Roman nodded, relief washing over him. They both stood up, and without needing to say more, they shared a brief embrace. It was a gesture filled with understanding and commitment, a promise that they would face whatever came next as a united front. As they walked out of the locker room together, they were met with the bustling energy of the backstage area, a reminder of the world that awaited them outside. Roman glanced over at Jey, a grin spreading across his face. You ready for what's next? Jey chuckled, the weight on his shoulders lifting. I've been ready. Just needed to know I wasn't alone. Together, they stepped into the bright lights of the arena, the cheers of the crowd resonating around them. The chemistry between them was palpable, and the WWE Universe could feel the renewed energy as they made their way to the ring. Roman raised his arm, encouraging the audience to join in. This is our family. This is the bloodline, he shouted, and the crowd erupted in response. It was a moment of unity, not just for them but for everyone who had ever felt disconnected or lost. As they stood together, a picture of strength and solidarity, the future looked brighter. Roman's subtle move after Crown Jewel confirmed what they both needed to hear. The bond of family was unbreakable, and together, they could conquer anything that came their way. In the world of wrestling, where alliances shifted and rivalries ignited, the unshakable bond between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso was a story that would resonate with fans for years to come. In that moment, with the cheers of the crowd echoing in their ears, Roman knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter for the bloodline, one where family came first, and nothing would ever come between them again. Solo Sikoa to unleash a new terror against Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, War Games? Potential WWE debut explored following Crown Jewel 2024, WWE is building toward Survivor Series, War Games, with this year's event expected to revolve around the Bloodline saga. The OG Bloodline and Solo Sikoa's faction are anticipated to clash in a War Games match at the marquee event. A new twist in this feud came with the involvement of Sami Zayn, who chose to stand against Solo and rescue the OG Bloodline this past weekend in Riyadh. However, things didn't go as Sami planned, as he accidentally attacked Roman Reigns. Despite this, the Raw superstar is still likely to reunite with Roman's faction. This raises speculation that Solo might counter this by bringing in a new force, possibly in the form of Hikuleo. The 33-year-old star has reportedly signed with WWE and was added to the NXT roster a few months ago. Although his potential debut has been delayed, the 6'8" monster could be revealed as Solo's newest weapon at Survivor Series War Games. Hikuleo may not be directly involved in the potential War Games match, as recent reports suggest WWE is planning a 4-on-4 match. This means the company doesn't necessarily need the 33-year-old for the potential match, as Solo's faction already has 4 members. Instead, fans might see Hikuleo appear post-match and ambush the OG Bloodline, establishing himself as the Street Champ's latest acquisition. That said, the angle is speculative at this point. As we approach Survivor Series War Games, it will be fascinating to see how this family saga unfolds. WWE could add a big stipulation for the possible Bloodline versus Bloodline War Games match at Survivor Series, with a high likelihood of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa's Bloodline factions clashing at Survivor Series this year. WWE could introduce a major stipulation to raise the stakes. The Stamford-based promotion might announce that the winner of this match will become the rightful holder of the Ula Fala. This feud has been centered on power, with Solo asserting himself as the true leader and rightful owner of the Ula Fala. The OTC has already attempted multiple times to reclaim it, underscoring the significance the Ula Fala holds in this family rivalry. As the OG Bloodline and Solo Sikoa's Bloodline prepare for a potential showdown at Survivor Series War Games, putting the Ula Fala on the line would be a fitting stipulation. This would not only make the feud more personal, but would also elevate the intensity of the potential match. In the world of WWE, the line between ally and adversary can shift in the blink of an eye. As Survivor Series War Games approached, the anticipation grew for what promised to be a monumental clash between Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, and their potential foes. But unbeknownst to them, lurking in the shadows was Solo Sikoa, ready to unleash a new terror that would redefine the dynamics of the Bloodline. The atmosphere in the arena was electric as the War Games structure loomed ominously over the ring. Fans were buzzing with excitement, eagerly awaiting the latest chapter in the Bloodline saga. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, was riding high on the success of his reign, having vanquished foes and solidified his legacy. Jacob Fatu, the powerhouse cousin of Reigns, was poised to join him, ready to take on any challenge. But in the corners of their minds lingered a thought: could the Bloodline's unity be threatened from within? Solo Sikoa, the younger brother of Reigns, had been laying low, observing the power dynamics and plotting his next move. With a reputation as a hard-hitting enforcer, he had always been in the shadows of the Bloodline, yet he craved recognition. The recent weeks had seen him silently build an arsenal of psychological warfare, channeling his frustration into a newfound intensity that hinted at an imminent explosion. In the weeks leading up to Survivor Series, Solo had made subtle yet impactful appearances on SmackDown. Each time he stepped into the ring, it was clear that he had evolved. No longer just the enforcer, Solo had transformed into a master strategist, carefully watching the interactions between Reigns and Fatu, waiting for the opportune moment to make his mark. As the War Games match approached, rumors swirled about a possible WWE debut, a mysterious figure who would stand alongside Solo in a show of force. The online speculation reached a fever pitch. Fans debated the identities of this potential ally, with names like LA Knight, Karrion Kross, and even legends like Samoa Joe surfacing in discussions. What everyone failed to realize was that Solo had plans that transcended mere alliances. On the night of Survivor Series, the arena was filled with a palpable tension. Fans clutched their signs and held their breath, ready for the chaos that would soon unfold. The War Games match featured the traditional two-ring setup, surrounded by steel, where the stakes were high, and the brutality would reign supreme. The first two competitors entered the ring, Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, showcasing their familial bond as they prepared to dominate their opponents. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, and an eerie silence enveloped the arena. A single spotlight shone on the entrance ramp, casting an ethereal glow. As the music hit, the crowd erupted in a mix of cheers and confusion. Emerging from the shadows was Solo Sikoa, not alone, but flanked by a mysterious figure, a towering individual with a presence that demanded attention. As the figure stepped into the light, it became clear it was a debuting star, an imposing force with an unmatched aura. This newcomer was revealed to be none other than the much-rumored former NXT standout, Bronson Reed. Known for his size and agility, Reed had a reputation for being an unstoppable force, and his addition to Solo's ranks signaled a seismic shift in the balance of power. The arena erupted as Solo and Bronson made their way to the ring, a united front against the seemingly unstoppable bloodline. Solo had orchestrated this moment with precision, understanding that the very foundation of Roman Reigns' reign depended on the perception of unity among family. By aligning with Bronson, he was prepared to unleash chaos, tearing apart the bonds that held the bloodline together. Once inside the wargame structure, the brutality began. Roman and Jacob fought valiantly, but Solo and Bronson utilized their size and power to dominate the match. With every slam and strike, the tension between the cousins became more palpable. Roman's confidence began to waver as he witnessed Solo's transformation from a loyal enforcer to a menacing adversary. As the match progressed, Solo took every opportunity to taunt Roman, reminding him of the legacy he was attempting to uphold. "You think you own this ring, Roman? You've forgotten the real blood that runs through these veins." The words cut deep, resonating with the crowd as they sensed the shift in loyalty. Bronson Reed added to the chaos, bulldozing through both Reigns and Fatu, displaying an athleticism that belied his size. Each impactful move further sowed the seeds of doubt within the bloodline as the tension between the cousins intensified. Jacob Fatu, caught off guard by the sheer force of Solo and Bronson, struggled to regain control. The crowd was on its feet, electrified by the unpredictability of the match. As Solo executed a devastating Samoan drop on Jacob, he locked eyes with Roman, who stood in disbelief at what had become of his younger brother. Solo had not only come to reclaim his place in the family, but to redefine the very meaning of the bloodline. The turning point arrived when the two teams began to clash inside the confines of the cage. The steel structure echoed with the sounds of bodies colliding, and the atmosphere was rife with anticipation. As Solo and Bronson coordinated their attacks, they began to methodically dismantle the defenses of Roman and Jacob. Solo's intensity surged, fueled by a hunger for recognition and respect that had long eluded him. With the match reaching its climax, Bronson Reed hoisted Jacob Fatu onto his shoulders, signaling for a massive slam. The crowd roared in approval, knowing that this moment could spell the end for the bloodline's unity. But just as Bronson prepared to execute his finisher, Solo turned to Roman and issued a chilling ultimatum: "You've made this personal, Roman. Now it's time to show you what betrayal feels like." In an unexpected twist, Solo struck Bronson, turning on his new ally. The crowd gasped, witnessing the layers of deception that had unfolded before their eyes. Solo had played the perfect game, manipulating perceptions while executing his own agenda. The betrayal sent shockwaves through the arena, leaving Roman in a state of shock and Jacob reeling from the sudden chaos. As the dust settled, the once unbreakable bloodline was left shattered, with Solo Sikoa emerging as the new terror that had been unleashed upon his cousins. The power dynamic had shifted dramatically, and as the referee counted the pinfall, Solo stood tall in the ring, reveling in the chaos he had created. Survivor Series, War Games had become a battleground for the very soul of the bloodline, and Solo Sikoa had proven that he was not just a shadow in the background, but a force to be reckoned with. The night ended with the echoes of his declaration ringing in the air: "This is just the beginning. The bloodline will never be the same again." In the aftermath, the WWE Universe was left to wonder what would come next for Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, and Jacob Fatu. One thing was certain: chaos had been unleashed, and the road to WrestleMania was sure to be paved with tension, betrayal, and a new level of intensity that only Solo could bring. The era of the bloodline as they knew it was over, a new chapter was beginning, and Solo Sikoa was ready to write it. Jey Uso names new bloodline ally on Raw, gives him the USO name. Jey Uso was on Monday Night Raw this week, and it was a tense segment involving family, or a person he considers family anyway. In the end, Jey would name a new bloodline ally and even give him the USO name. This week on Raw, we were set to see the fallout of the post-Bloodline vs. Bloodline match. As you might recall, Sami Zayn came out specifically to save Jey Uso but inadvertently ended up kicking Roman Reigns in the face, leading to massive tensions between him and Jimmy, something that Jey had to stop as he was the voice of reason. This week on Raw, Sami Zayn came out and was interrupted by Jey Uso, who asked him for an affirmation that what he did was unintentional. Jey said that upon reviewing the footage, he felt it was unintentional. Jimmy Uso came out and wasn't buying what Sami Zayn noted, so the four-time Intercontinental Champion reminded him of the past and Jimmy's actions, the fact that Jimmy was the first one to bring him into the bloodline in 2022. The fact that he embraced him and the fact that when things got tough, he kicked Roman Reigns in the face and eventually his twin brother, referencing SummerSlam 2023. While Jimmy said he was never family, Jey assured him he was family even without an official blood relation. As Sami Zayn was making his exit, Jey said that he saw himself, Jimmy Uso, and Sami Uso making a clear endorsement. It was an incredible segment filled with the drama and cinema you would expect from the bloodline. Sami was subsequently requested to appear on SmackDown to resolve the issues, which presumably means he will confront the OTC Roman Reigns. Sami made it clear that he would not undergo any trials or tests like he had previously. It's a different time, and just like Jey Uso, Sami is likely going to demand to be treated as an equal to Roman Reigns. The atmosphere in the arena was electric, a palpable buzz rippling through the crowd as fans eagerly anticipated the next chapter in the saga of the bloodline. After the chaotic events that had unfolded over the past few weeks, tensions were high. Jey Uso, still reeling from the emotional fallout of his split with Roman Reigns, stood alone in the ring, the spotlight shining down on him like a beacon of hope and uncertainty. "Let's go, Jey," the crowd chanted, their support undeniable as he raised his microphone, ready to address his family's legacy. His expression was a mixture of determination and vulnerability, reflecting the weight of his recent decisions. It was a defining moment for him, one that would either solidify his position within the family or mark a turning point in the saga of the bloodline. "You know, for a long time, I was lost," Jey began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "I followed Roman. I thought being a part of the bloodline meant being under his shadow, doing what he said. But I've realized something important. It ain't just about blood, it's about loyalty, respect, and family. And family ain't just about who you're related to by blood, it's about who's there for you when it counts." The crowd erupted into cheers, sensing the gravity of his words. Jey's journey had been tumultuous, but now he was ready to take a stand, to carve out his own path. The tension in the arena thickened, the anticipation mounting as Jey continued. "So tonight, I'm here to introduce someone new to the bloodline. Someone who shares our values, our fight, and understands what it means to stand tall when the odds are against us. Someone who has the heart of a warrior, the soul of a champion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the newest member of the bloodline, introducing my brother, a true USO, the one and only Solo Sikoa." As the name echoed through the arena, the audience erupted in a mix of excitement and curiosity. The lights dimmed, and a familiar theme echoed, sending waves of adrenaline through the crowd. Solo Sikoa, Jey's younger brother and a rising star in WWE, emerged from the shadows. His presence was commanding, and the way he walked down the ramp exuded confidence. With his signature long hair and fierce demeanor, he was a sight to behold. Solo entered the ring, and Jey embraced him, the bond between the brothers palpable. "Welcome home, bro," Jey said, his eyes sparkling with pride. The crowd chanted USO. USO, in unison, welcoming Solo into the fold as if they had been waiting for this moment all along. "Let me tell you something," Solo said, taking the mic from Jey. "I've watched my brothers fight, bleed, and sacrifice for this family. I've seen the power of the bloodline, and I want to be a part of that legacy. But I'm not just here to ride coattails. I'm here to bring the fight and prove that I belong." His words resonated deeply with the audience, who knew they were witnessing the dawn of a new era for the bloodline. With Jey leading the way and Solo by his side, the potential was limitless. But the atmosphere was charged with a sense of foreboding, as they both knew that challenges lay ahead. Suddenly, the Titantron flickered to life, and a familiar face appeared: Roman Reigns. The tribal chief had been absent from the scene for weeks, but his presence loomed large over everything. The crowd erupted in mixed reactions, some cheering, others booing as Roman began to speak. "Jey," Roman said, his voice dripping with authority, "I see you found yourself a new ally. But let me remind you, this isn't just about the USO name. It's about the legacy of the bloodline. You think you can just waltz in here and claim that title without me? You think Solo can just step in and take what's mine?" The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Jey clenched his fists, bracing for the inevitable confrontation. "This ain't just your show anymore, Roman. I'm tired of living in your shadow. Solo deserves this just as much as anyone else in this family." "Family?" Roman scoffed, stepping closer to the screen. "You think just because you've got a brother by your side that you can take control? The bloodline is mine, and I will remind you both why I'm the tribal chief." The tension escalated as the camera panned back to the ring, where Jey and Solo stood united, their expressions fierce. Jey raised his mic again, ready to respond. "You may be the tribal chief, but I'm the USO, and that means something. We're here to fight for our place, and we're not backing down." Solo stepped forward, his demeanor serious. "You want to challenge us, Roman? You know where to find us. We're ready for anything. The bloodline isn't just your legacy anymore, it's ours too." The crowd roared in approval, rallying behind the brothers as the tension in the air reached a boiling point. Roman's face twisted into a mix of anger and amusement. "Fine. If you want to prove yourself, then let's make it interesting. At the next pay-per-view, I'll take on both of you in a tag match. And if you lose, Solo, you'll have to earn back your USO name." Jey stepped forward, his voice strong and unwavering. "We accept. But be warned, Roman. We're ready to fight for our family and our name. We're not afraid of you anymore." With that, Roman smirked, the confidence of a champion etched on his face. "Good. Then let the games begin." As Roman's image disappeared from the screen, Jey and Solo stood tall in the ring, the weight of their decision settling in. They exchanged glances, knowing they had a tough road ahead, but together they felt invincible. The bloodline was evolving, and the legacy was being redefined. The arena buzzed with excitement, fans chanting their names, the spirit of the Usos igniting a fire within them. Jey and Solo were ready to face whatever challenges awaited them, united as brothers and proud members of the bloodline. As the segment came to a close, Jey raised his hand, signaling the crowd to join him. "We're just getting started. USO for life." The arena echoed with the chant, a declaration of unity, strength, and the promise of a bright future for the bloodline. In the weeks that followed, Jey and Solo would face off against Roman and his allies in a series of intense matches, each one building upon their legacy and proving their worth. Their journey would not only test their bond as brothers, but also redefine what it meant to be in USO. In the world of WWE, where allegiances could shift at any moment, Jey Uso had taken a bold step forward, and with Solo by his side, they were ready to carve their path, claiming their rightful place in the annals of wrestling history as the new generation of the bloodline. The fight was far from over, but together, they were prepared to face any challenge that came their way, ready to uphold the name of USO and honor the legacy of their family. Solo Sikoa mocks major WWE star for crown jewel botch. Solo Sikoa mocked a major WWE superstar to date following a massive botch at Crown Jewel this past Saturday night in Saudi Arabia. The Bloodline squared off against Roman Reigns and the Usos in a six-man tag team match at the Premium Live event. The Bloodline defeated Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso in the opening match of Crown Jewel. Solo Sikoa connected with the Samoan Spike on Roman Reigns for the pinfall victory. After the match, Sami Zayn came to the ring and attacked his former faction. The former Intercontinental Champion tried to hit Sikoa with a hell of a kick but inadvertently hit the original Tribal Chief instead. The 31-year-old took to his Instagram story to poke fun at Zayn's botch at Crown Jewel, and you can check out his post by clicking here. Sami Zayn was formerly known as the honorary use of the faction, but his time in the group came to an end at Royal Rumble 2023 after he struck Roman Reigns with a steel chair instead of hitting Kevin Owens, WWE Hall of Famer once SmackDown star. To join Solo Sikoa's faction, wrestling legend Teddy Long recently shared his thoughts on WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax potentially joining the Bloodline. The Irresistible Force battled Liv Morgan at Crown Jewel this past Saturday. The two stars competed for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, and Liv Morgan picked up the victory after the Judgment Day interfered in the match. Speaking on Sportskeeda's The Wrestling Time Machine show, Long shared that he would love to see Jax as a part of the faction on SmackDown. The Hall of Famer added that he would pair Nia Jax with Solo Sikoa on WWE television. "Oh, God, I'd love that," Long said. "God, I'd love to see her with the Bloodline. I'd put her with Solo Sikoa, you know what I mean? Because they could use her." 107-124, the Bloodline picked up a very impressive victory at WWE Crown Jewel. Only time will tell if Sami Zayn will reunite with Roman Reigns and the Usos moving forward. The atmosphere in Riyadh was electric, charged with anticipation for WWE's annual Crown Jewel event. The grand spectacle, held in the opulent King Saud University Stadium, promised to deliver jaw-dropping matches, surprising returns, and unforgettable moments. However, among the pageantry and excitement, one moment turned into a talking point for all the wrong reasons. The night had seen the return of a major WWE star, a charismatic former champion whose name was synonymous with success, Drew McIntyre. He had stepped into the ring against Solo Sikoa, the enforcer of the Bloodline, in what was supposed to be a marquee match. With the weight of expectations on their shoulders, both superstars were determined to make their mark. The lights shone brightly, the crowd erupted, and the anticipation was palpable. As the match began, the two heavyweights exchanged hard-hitting blows, showcasing their strength and athleticism. The chemistry was undeniable, and the crowd was fully engaged. But just as the match reached its peak, disaster struck. In an attempt to deliver his signature move, Drew miscalculated, landing awkwardly and stumbling to the mat. The moment echoed in the arena, and the cheers quickly turned into gasps. In the backstage area, Solo Sikoa watched the mishap unfold on a monitor. With a smirk spreading across his face, he couldn't resist the urge to poke fun at his opponent. It was a classic case of taking advantage of an opportunity, and Solo was all too eager to capitalize on it. Later that night, after the match, as the locker room buzzed with excitement and post-match analysis, Solo gathered a few of his fellow wrestlers. They huddled around him, laughing and exchanging stories about the event. "Did you see that botch?" Solo exclaimed, his laughter echoing off the locker room walls. "I mean, Drew's usually on point, but tonight? He was all over the place." His words prompted a chorus of laughter from his peers. "Maybe he should stick to his Scottish Highland games," one of them joked, while another chimed in, more like Drew McStumble. "What a way to make a comeback." Solo reveled in the attention, drawing more and more laughter as he exaggerated the moment, mimicking Drew's stumble with exaggerated hand gestures and wobbly knees. "And then he just fell like a bag of potatoes," he added, causing the group to erupt into laughter once more. He continued, "I thought he was going for a new move, the Scottish flop." Despite the humor, there was an underlying respect for Drew McIntyre. Solo knew that every wrestler had their off nights, but that didn't stop him from enjoying the moment. It was a rite of passage in the world of professional wrestling, finding light in the darkness and laughing through the chaos. The next day, social media exploded with clips of the botch. Memes flooded the internet, showcasing Drew's stumble with captions like "When you realize you forgot to set your alarm for a big match" and Drew McIntyre's new training regime, balance and coordination. Fans of both superstars took to Twitter to weigh in, creating a trending topic that drew attention across the wrestling world. Solo Sikoa capitalized on the buzz, posting a short video on his Instagram account. He cleverly edited together a montage of his own powerful moves, juxtaposed with Drew's misstep. The caption read, "When you know how to do it right. Hashtag Solo Sikoa, hashtag Botch City." His followers erupted with comments, applauding his cleverness and engaging humor. It wasn't just about mocking Drew, it was about solidifying Solo's position in the spotlight. Meanwhile, in the aftermath of the Crown Jewel event, Drew McIntyre took the high road. He addressed the mishap during a promotional interview, showing grace under pressure. "It happens," he said with a chuckle. "You have your good nights and your bad nights. I'm just grateful to be back in the ring doing what I love." His humility won over many fans, contrasting with Solo's playful ribbing. But the rivalry between Solo and Drew began to simmer beneath the surface. As the weeks went by, Solo continued to make jabs during interviews and promos. "You know, I'm just waiting for Drew to learn how to land properly," he quipped in a backstage interview on SmackDown. "I mean, we all know he's a big deal, but sometimes you have to stay grounded, literally." Drew, in his own promos, acknowledged Solo's barbs. "Solo's talented, no doubt," he admitted. "But when you're busy focusing on someone else's mistakes, you might just miss out on your own opportunities." The tension grew, setting the stage for an inevitable showdown between the two. Finally, at a subsequent pay-per-view event, the two were scheduled to face off again. This time, the stakes were higher, and the crowd buzzed with excitement. The match was built as a clash of titans, a battle between the old guard and the new blood. Fans speculated whether Drew would redeem himself or if Solo would capitalize on the previous botch. The night arrived, and as the two entered the ring, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Solo had come in with a chip on his shoulder, his previous antics fueling his confidence. Drew, however, had something to prove. He couldn't afford another slip-up, and the energy in the arena was electric. As the match unfolded, it became clear that both competitors were at the top of their game. Drew showcased his power and agility, delivering a series of devastating moves. Solo responded with his own brand of relentless aggression, proving why he was regarded as one of WWE's rising stars. The match reached its crescendo, with each man exchanging blows, the crowd hanging on every moment. In a pivotal moment, Drew executed a flawless maneuver, countering one of Solo's signature moves. The crowd erupted, and it was clear that this was a turning point. Solo, caught off guard, was sent sprawling to the mat. As the referee counted to 3, the arena exploded in cheers, and Drew had finally redeemed himself. After the match, as Drew celebrated, Solo lingered at ringside, seething but composed. He knew the loss stung, but it also lit a fire within him. In the days that followed, he reflected on the rivalry and his playful mockery. Solo Sikoa was determined to rise to the occasion and become a top contender in his own right, with or without the jokes. In the unpredictable world of professional wrestling, moments of mockery could quickly turn into fierce rivalries. For Solo, the Crown Jewel botch became not just a chance to tease a competitor but a launching point for his own journey in the spotlight. And in the end, that was what wrestling was all about: rising, falling, and rising again. Jacob Fatu's alleged non-profit scam before WWE Rise resurfaces. WWE superstar Jacob Fatu's alleged non-profit scam has resurfaced. Despite being a small amount considering his current position in World Wrestling Entertainment, Fatu has been accused of keeping the money. The Samoan werewolf made his WWE debut on the June 21st episode of Friday Night SmackDown. He literally burst into the scene and has cultivated a fan following even among industry veterans owing to his in-ring abilities. Fatu is presently part of a major storyline involving the bloodline with some of his cousins and plays a key antagonist to one of the company's top stars, Roman Reigns. In 2023, Jake's Network of Hope, a local nonprofit organization that helps underprivileged people, located in Appleton, Wisconsin, was allegedly deceived by Jacob Fatu. The organization put on a wrestling event fundraiser hosted by Lawrence University. Billy Gunn, Vampiro, Tatanka, Brian Pillman Jr., and Jacob Fatu were among the names scheduled to make appearances, according to Jake's development director, Jen Harper. Jacob, Fatu, called and said there was a family emergency. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. At Jake's, we are 100% about family, and I said, if you can't make it, that's fine, Harper said. We rescheduled the flight that he missed originally, and about an hour after that flight took off, we were made aware from him that he wasn't coming. After that, he ghosted us, he ghosted the production team that puts together the wrestling show, and he ghosted the person that booked him for us. From 1:14 to 1:48, while this video above was posted in June 2023, the husband of the charity organizer has since confirmed on Reddit that Fatu had still not returned the money after ghosting everyone involved with the appearance. Jacob Fatu was in action at WWE Crown Jewel last Saturday at Crown Jewel 2024 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Jacob Fatu joined Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga to take on Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. The story-driven bout kicked off the show, with several noteworthy moments that could have an impact on the program in the coming weeks. Interestingly, Fatu's membership in Solo Sikoa's bloodline was recently brought up by former WWE superstar Matt Morgan. The veteran claimed that the Samoan werewolf does not fit into the faction. Morgan also had some strong comments regarding Sikoa's pinfall win over the OTC at the recently concluded Premium Live event in Saudi Arabia. Jacob Fatu had been a name whispered among wrestling fans for years, a talented powerhouse in the independent circuit, with lineage that connected him to one of the most celebrated families in the industry, the Anoa'i family. As he prepared to make waves in WWE, a story that had been buried resurfaced, an alleged non-profit scam that threatened to overshadow his budding career. It all began in early 2020 when Fatu, then rising through the ranks of Major League Wrestling, MLW, launched a nonprofit organization aimed at providing wrestling training for underprivileged youth in his hometown of San Diego. The initiative was received with enthusiasm. The idea of helping kids channel their energy into something constructive was commendable, and many saw Fatu as a beacon of hope for the next generation. Donations poured in from fans, local businesses, and wrestling promotions that believed in his cause. However, whispers soon turned into murmurs of concern. As months passed, some supporters began to notice discrepancies in the organization's financial records. Promises of free training camps and scholarships for local youth were not materializing as expected. Questions arose about how the donations were being utilized. Were they truly going toward the intended cause, or were they lining Fatu's pockets? Speculation ran rampant, and before long, the once celebrated initiative was shrouded in suspicion. By late 2020, allegations surfaced that Fatu had mismanaged funds, with claims suggesting that a significant portion of the donations had been funneled toward personal expenses rather than the intended charitable efforts. Accusations ranged from using funds for luxury items to financing lavish parties, painting a portrait of a man more concerned with his image than his mission. The wrestling community, once rallying behind him, began to turn its back. With the allegations swirling, Fatu found himself at a crossroads. His dream of making it big in WWE hung in the balance. The pressure was immense, and the scrutiny only intensified as he started to gain recognition in the wrestling world. It became clear that he needed to address the situation head-on if he ever hoped to redeem himself and his reputation. In early 2021, Fatu took to social media, posting a heartfelt video where he attempted to explain his side of the story. He expressed remorse for any misunderstandings and claimed that the financial issues stemmed from mismanagement by a third-party accountant he had entrusted with the funds. He promised to rectify the situation, vowing to return any misappropriated funds to the donors and ensure that the organization would fulfill its mission. While some fans appreciated his transparency, others remained skeptical. The damage was done. The accusations had created a stain on his character that would be difficult to wash away. Wrestling is a business built on trust, and the whispers of his alleged scam echoed loudly in the industry. Despite the backlash, Fatu's talent was undeniable. His matches in MLW showcased a wrestler who possessed both agility and raw power. WWE took notice, and in late 2021, they signed him to a developmental contract. While he had managed to secure a spot in the WWE family, the shadows of his past continued to loom overhead. In WWE's developmental territory, NXT, Fatu found a new lease on life. He was given the chance to reinvent himself, to step out of the shadows of the past and into the spotlight. The young superstar adopted a new persona that emphasized his athletic prowess and connection to his heritage, incorporating elements of his Samoan roots into his wrestling style and character. He captivated audiences with his high-flying moves and charismatic presence, making a name for himself as a promising talent. As Fatu's star began to rise, so did the conversations surrounding his past. In interviews and press conferences, the questions about the nonprofit allegations resurfaced, prompting Fatu to reiterate his commitment to moving forward. He spoke passionately about wanting to inspire others and expressed a desire to rebuild the trust that had been lost. In a climate where many wrestlers were speaking out about their struggles and journeys, Fatu's story became one of redemption, a narrative that resonated with fans who had once doubted him. WWE embraced this narrative, crafting storylines that allowed Fatu to showcase his growth. As he faced off against some of the biggest names in the business, fans began to see him not just as a figure from a troubled past, but as a formidable competitor with the potential to reach great heights. The company capitalized on his family legacy, weaving it into his character development and storylines, bringing attention to his journey while giving him the chance to redefine himself. However, the past was not easily forgotten. The allegations continued to linger like a cloud over his burgeoning career. Fatu's rise to stardom was often accompanied by articles and social media posts that referenced the nonprofit scandal, reminding fans of the darkness that had threatened to overshadow his talent. Yet, for every critic, there were also those who championed his efforts to move beyond his past, embracing his evolution in the ring and the maturity he exhibited outside of it. As Fatu continued to gain momentum within WWE, he seized the opportunity to give back to the community in a more legitimate manner. Partnering with established charities, he worked on initiatives that aligned with his original vision for helping underprivileged youth. By collaborating with organizations that had a proven track record of success, he sought to rebuild his reputation while demonstrating a genuine commitment to his community. With each passing match, Jacob Fatu not only fought for championship gold but also for the respect he had lost. His journey became a testament to resilience, showing that even in the face of adversity, one could rise again. As he stepped into the squared circle, the roar of the crowd became a reminder that while the past might shape a person, it does not have to define them. As the spotlight grew brighter and Fatu's skills became undeniable, whispers of the nonprofit scandal began to fade into the background. His ability to transform his narrative from one of alleged deceit to one of redemption captivated fans and critics alike. Fatu's rise in WWE was not just a story of personal success, it was also a reminder that everyone has the capacity for change, no matter how dark the past may seem. In the end, Jacob Fatu's story was not merely about wrestling, it was a powerful narrative of growth, determination, and the pursuit of redemption against all odds. As he carved his path in WWE, he proved that while shadows might linger, the light of hope and perseverance could shine through, illuminating a future filled with possibilities. Ranking every Roman Reigns character from worst to best, Roman Reigns recently faced a massive upset at Crown Jewel Premium Live event, where Solo Sikoa pinned him in a six-man tag team match. However, his loss in the hands of his former enforcer has spiced the Bloodline saga even more, as it could potentially lead to another barnburner of a bout at the upcoming Survivor Series War Games later this month. Reigns, currently deemed the original tribal chief, has donned numerous personas since debuting on the main roster in 2012. Whether he is a face or a heel, it proves how versatile he is in portraying a certain character. To that end, check out these personas that Reigns portrayed over the years. 5. The Guy. Roman Reigns. The Guy character was first introduced in 2016 on Raw after WrestleMania 32. Reigns won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H at the Show of Shows, who was the spearhead of the Authority faction at the time. On that aforementioned episode of the Red Brand, Reigns delivered a promo, stating he was neither a bad guy nor a good guy but the guy. That same night, he issued a challenge to any WWE superstar who wanted to take a shot at his championship, to which AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn heeded the call. Like the first entry, this Reigns character was ill-received by fans, as he was also booed most of the time. Instead, his former Shield teammate Seth Rollins became more popular with the WWE Universe. 4. The Big Dog. Roman Reigns' The Big Dog persona came to fruition in 2014. It was believed to be his initial portrayal of a good guy after parting ways with the Shield. Further, this was how famed commentator Michael Cole would call him during a match. Despite being a babyface, he was getting booed at most of his matches, as it did not sit well with fans at the time. A case in point was during the 2015 Royal Rumble when The Rock came to his aid to win the 30-man Battle Royal. The moniker was also significant during his feud with former WWE superstar Baron Corbin. In January 2020, Reigns, alongside the Usos, were pitted against then-King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode, where the loser of the match will be smothered with dog food. Reigns' team won, and what transpired afterward went down to infamy. 3. The Shield's powerhouse. As mentioned, the Shield was WWE's breakout stable at the time, where Reigns, alongside Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, made an explosive main roster debut during 2012's Survivor Series. Among the three, Roman Reigns was introduced as the faction's powerhouse. He was the team's muscle man, possessing impressive athleticism. Despite his brute strength, he was not much of a talker at the time. A notable highlight of this character was during the 2014 Royal Rumble Premium Live event. Despite being a heel at that time, the former Universal Champion was heavily favored to win the Rumble match, and it came down to him and Batista as the final two competitors. The Animal won the bout and went on to main event WrestleMania that year alongside Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, and Randy Orton. 2. Roman Reigns as the OTC. After months of absence following his loss at WrestleMania 40, Roman Reigns made a thunderous return at this year's SummerSlam and sent a clear message to Solo Sikoa that he returned to take back what is rightfully his. This also confirmed rumors that he will be donning a new persona as the original Tribal Chief, OTC. Needless to say, WWE was spot on in reintroducing Reigns as a babyface this time around, as was evident from the crowd's reaction during the biggest party of the summer. Now that Reigns is on his redemption arc, it will be interesting to see what happens next, especially now that things are heating up between him and Solo Sikoa. 1. The Tribal Chief. Roman Reigns was one of the top babyfaces before he went on a hiatus in 2020 due to the pandemic. However, when he returned at that year's SummerSlam, he turned heel. And just like what was written on the shirt he wore then, he literally wrecked everyone, Braun Strowman and The Fiend, and left. From that moment on, everyone knew that he meant business. Days later, he aligned himself with Paul Heyman and was deemed the Tribal Chief. Come Payback that same year, he captured his second Universal Championship, and the rest is already etched in WWE's rich history. It was also during this time that the Bloodline was born and has grown to become the most dominant faction within the promotion. Further, the storyline was praised by both critics and fans, who deemed it the most compelling wrestling narrative they've witnessed in years. Roman Reigns is one of the most polarizing figures in WWE history. His evolution from a Shield-wearing powerhouse to the Tribal Chief has been remarkable, and with each character shift, he has left a significant mark on the wrestling world. This piece will explore his various personas, ranking them from worst to best based on their impact, storytelling, and audience reception. 5. The Suffering Succotash Guy. Worst character overview. This persona emerged during Reigns' initial push as a singles competitor post-Shield. In 2014, he began to show signs of character development, but the lackluster material provided led to a flat persona. He attempted to display his personality, but lines like Suffering Succotash became infamous for their awkwardness. Wyatt's ranked low, the gimmick felt forced and disconnected from the intense, serious wrestler that fans had come to know in the Shield. The weak catchphrases and a lack of compelling storylines made this version of Reigns forgettable. His in-ring skills shone, but this character lacked depth and charisma, leading to a lukewarm response from the audience. 4. The Big Dog character overview. In the years that followed, Roman Reigns branded himself as the Big Dog, emphasizing his status as the top competitor in WWE. He was often depicted as the heroic figure destined to take down top villains like Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and Braun Strowman. Why it's ranked medium. While this persona capitalized on Reigns' athleticism and charisma, it often felt one-dimensional. The relentless push by WWE officials led to mixed reactions from fans, especially during his feud with Lesnar at WrestleMania. Many fans were tired of the repetitive big dog narrative, leading to a backlash that complicated his push. The character had its moments of brilliance but lacked the necessary depth to sustain long-term audience engagement. 3. The Tribal Chief. Best Character Overview. Roman Reigns' current character as the Tribal Chief has been hailed as one of the best reinventions in wrestling history. He has taken on the role of the dominant leader of his family, aligning himself with the Anoa'i dynasty. This character shift occurred after his return in 2020, embracing a darker persona filled with aggression and manipulation. Why it's ranked high. The character has brought a new level of storytelling to WWE. Reigns has embraced a dual role, both as a fierce competitor and as a commanding leader who demands respect. His interactions with Paul Heyman and the Usos have created some of the most compelling story arcs in recent years. The nuanced portrayal of his relationships, particularly with Jey Uso, added layers to his character that resonated with fans. The Tribal Chief persona has transformed Reigns into a must-see attraction, drawing in both longtime fans and casual viewers alike. 2. The Shield. Notable Character Overview. The Shield was a faction formed by Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose in 2012. They quickly became known for their unity and in-ring prowess, taking the WWE by storm with their Shield tactics and ruthless efficiency. Why it's ranked high. The Shield is not only one of the most iconic factions in WWE history, but also instrumental in establishing Reigns as a top star. The camaraderie and synergy among the trio created a significant fan following and helped develop each member's character. Their memorable debut, marked by a brutal attack on Ryback during the main event of Survivor Series 2012, was a defining moment in wrestling history. Reigns, alongside Rollins and Ambrose, showcased his strength, agility, and teamwork, setting the stage for their eventual individual successes. 1. The Head of the Table. Best Character Overview. Building upon the foundation laid by the Tribal Chief, Reigns' character as the head of the table has solidified his position at the top of WWE. This persona not only emphasizes his dominance but also highlights the importance of family and heritage, appealing to fans on a deeper level. Why it's ranked highest. This character encapsulates the essence of Roman Reigns' journey in WWE. He has seamlessly integrated the themes of legacy and power into his promos, creating emotional moments with family members, especially in his conflicts with Jey Uso. The storytelling depth is profound, as it explores themes of loyalty, betrayal, and acceptance within the family. His match quality has improved, showcasing not just brute strength but also a strategic approach to in-ring psychology. The chemistry between Reigns and Heyman has created magic on screen, making their alliance one of the most memorable aspects of WWE storytelling. Conclusion. Roman Reigns has undergone a transformative journey in WWE, evolving from a generic powerhouse to one of the most compelling characters in wrestling history. His ability to adapt and redefine himself has kept fans engaged and invested in his storylines. While some characters may have fallen flat, the evolution of his persona, culminating in the powerful Tribal Chief and Head of the Table narrative, has solidified his legacy as one of the top performers in the business. Each character has played a role in shaping the man he is today, and it will be fascinating to see how he continues to evolve in the future. Whether he remains the Tribal Chief or transitions to another character, Roman Reigns has proven he can capture the audience's attention and lead WWE into a new era.